Hello, lovely, and welcome to another episode of Taking Time to Heal. So, firstly, I feel like I need to mention I am not wearing the same outfit. Well, I am wearing the same outfit, but I am recording this podcast on the same day as I recorded the last one because on reflection, I'm finding that actually it might be more useful for me to record these podcasts in a more bulk format. That way I can ensure that you are getting regular podcasts. So apologies if it's a bit boring looking at me in the same outfit, but I'm sure that's not why you're here. But today I wanted to talk to you about the importance of the story that you tell yourself, that of who you are. Okay, but before we dive into it, let's take a moment to just ground, to center ourselves. Perhaps you've had a busy day. And I invite you to take a moment to connect into that breath in the belly. And just notice the sensation of the gentle rise and fall. And just allowing it to bring you back to the present moment. And maybe just taking a moment of gratitude for yourself, for showing up and listening and doing this inner work. Maybe a moment of gratitude for this breath that comes in and out of the body without us even having to do anything. Keeping us alive, keeping us here. And maybe considering what else you feel super grateful for today. Maybe it's the people in your life, your animals, this amazing earth that we live on, with its gorgeous seasons and sunrises and expansive skies. And when you feel ready, gently opening your eyes, coming back into the room. So today, I think I really want to talk to you about taking a moment to notice if your morning rituals, your morning routines, whether they are setting you up for the best possible day. Now, I would say this is probably one of those things that I think as a society, certainly in the West, we can completely underestimate, and I feel in so many ways we're letting our kids down around this topic. Because the truth is, how we start our days, the energy we take into our days, has such a profound impact on everything we will do, how we experience those days, the relationships we have, the actions we take, the behaviors we display, the way we feel about that day in every area, our mind, our body, our sense of connection to that part of us that's bigger. And yet so many of us either don't have a morning practice at all, or it has just become this thing that we just do without thinking about the why, right? So if you don't have a morning ritual, a morning practice, a morning sadhana, however you see that thing, whatever is the connection on the path that you're on, or even if you're not on a particular spiritual path, but just understand, right, that our energy has this ripple effect. And we know this, we experience this all the time. We know that if we go into a situation expecting the best, feeling our best, like from a sense of gratitude, from a sense of appreciation, we are more likely to get the best from that situation, right? This is just common sense, because we've also experienced the opposite. You know, I don't know about you, but you know, you get into the car and you're grumpy and you drive to work and it feels like you hit every red light on the way, and then before you know it, you know, someone's cut you up, and then you're sat there thinking about how life's not fair and it's not good, and then you take that energy into the office, and then everyone you interact with seems to annoy you, and you are probably not being perceived in the best way during those times, and then before you know it, it's your colleagues that are being promoted and not you, and you know, it has this ripple effect. It begins to feed into your relationships with your kids and your husband. You've lost patience with them, and you're always looking at the faults and not looking at the gifts and strengths, and because of that, that relationship becomes filled with conflict and it doesn't feel supportive. So this may feel like an overestimation for you if you don't have a morning practice, but for those of you that do, you will know this. You will feel this. You will see this every single day. And, you know, my kids and my husband will be able to tell you if I haven't done my meditation yet, right? They're like, I think you need to go meditate. Because that energy that we take into the day affects everything. So if you do have a practice, today is really about inviting you to see if it is setting you up for the best possible day. And I wanted to share with you some of the things that I have found to be the most fundamental to have in my morning practice to ensure that I get the absolute most from those days. And I'm being the absolute most, because there is nothing I find more frustrating than getting to the end of the day and having that sense of, you know, it just reminds me of school reports, you know, could have done better, right? Could have done better. And I don't necessarily mean in terms of what I've achieved or what's been ticked off the to-do list, but there's nothing worse, right, than going to bed and thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I completely handled that thing wrong. And don't get me wrong, that's not the end of the world. We can apologize, we can move on, we can vow to do better. But when we know that we're consistently showing up in the energy from the mindset with the right perspective as we enter those days, we are living our potential. And I do not think there is anything sadder than a life that is lived where someone hasn't lived their potential. Now, I don't mean that potential has to be the invention of something groundbreaking, some kind of Nobel Peace Prize award-winning action, you know, but I want to get to the end and know that I have been the best possible parent that I have been. I want to get to the end and know that I have been a good, when I say wife, I think that sometimes comes with connotations of like a 1950s wife. But, you know, I want to know that I've been a good partner to my husband. I want to know that, you know, I have shown up and I've had his back and he's had mine, and we've worked in partnership with each other. I want to know that I have been a source for light, a source for light in this world for, my clients, but also other people that I come into contact with. I want to know that I leave a conversation having made that person either feel a little bit better, or I've given something, or it's been worthwhile. And that only comes from working on my energy first, right? And this is, again, where the excuses can kick in. It's where, excuses are probably our biggest opponent when it comes to our spiritual and personal development journeys, because there's so many of them. We can always find one. There's always one in easy reach. And I'm not saying we don't have days where we take it easier and we're softer and we're compassionate and kind to ourselves on this journey too, of course. But being compassionate and kind to yourself is about also identifying where you are being your own worst enemy, where you are making your life harder for you. And our morning practice is probably one of the quickest ways to begin to see change in your life. And it generally is one of the first things that I go through in my programs is, right, we got to start with our cup full. And like I said, this is often where the excuses kick in. And it might be things like, yeah, but I've got a young baby and I'm not sleeping through the night, so actually I don't have time for that. There's plenty of people around the world, I'm sorry, I'm calling this out. There's plenty of people around the world that have young children that have a morning practice, right? This needs to become a non-negotiable. It could be, I don't have a lot of time in the mornings because I've got to get up and I've got to go to work and I've got to take the kids and I've got to make the pet lunches. Again, it's an excuse. You can get up earlier, right? Many people do. I did for many years. And whether I was tired, whether I didn't get enough sleep, whether when I was breastfeeding through the night, right? And I'm not saying this because look at me, badge of honor. I'm saying this because this is an excuse. And actually, once you start seeing the impact of doing this thing, you will see through those excuses. You will see, yeah, but actually, I would rather have half an hour less sleep and start every single day feeling like my most filled up version of me, feeling like I'm most aligned to my sense of purpose, to my soul mission, to the reason I came here, feeling like I am most in touch with those qualities that matter to me, that feel important to me, to be the person that is the change I wish to see in the world, and to be the role model for the people that are in your life. And when I say role model, I also mean this kind of, your energy matters. That's what I mean. So for example, if we know that actually when it comes to children, one of the things that affects them the most is the happiness of their parents, right? So if you want happy, healthy, satisfied children or grandchildren, the energy of the people in their lives is one of the most fundamental things available to them in terms of a source of food, a source of nutrient that will set them up for their day. And we know this, right? This isn't rocket science. If at the beginning of the day, you're starting the day being grouchy, short-tempered, impatient, rushing around, consumed with anxiety, consumed with worry, from a place of feeling helpless, from a place of feeling sorry for yourself. You know, these affect your energy, and it has a ripple effect. It will affect the way you communicate with your kids. It will affect the way that you communicate with your husband, or your wife, or your partner. It will affect the way that you communicate with every person you come into contact with. Now, I'm not saying we have to be perfect all the time, but I also believe, as much as we have a responsibility to ourselves, we also have a responsibility for the other people in our life. And I think it's one of the reasons, I need to be careful here, I could get on my soapbox, but I think it's one of the reasons that we're so unhappy in Western society as a general rule, when you look at our happiness levels compared to other places, is because we do get so consumed with our sense of self and this sense of me, me, me. And we forget that actually we also have a responsibility to other people. And I don't just mean in the things that we do. I don't just mean in the actions that we take. If we're taking actions from a place of begrudgingly, resentfully, feeling sorry for ourselves, this affects how those actions are received. Like, I'm sure all of us have experienced someone at some point who has begrudgingly or resentfully done something for us. And I think we can all notice that it is far more difficult to feel appreciation and gratitude for the actions that person took when they're saying things like, when it's coming from an energy of resentfulness, or I didn't really want to, but I did it anyway. So let's dive into what are the things that we can do? What are the things that will actually support us the most in getting the most from our days? Now, as always, I won't tell you you've got to do these things and it's got to be done in this order and it's got to be done this way. I'm going to give you concepts and some examples of what might fall into that. Because actually we need to be thinking big picture here, right? We need to be thinking about the why. What am I trying to achieve with this? Because if it just becomes this kind of another thing on the to-do list, it's missed the point. So the first thing, in my opinion, that we need to think about is cultivating a sense of mindfulness of what's actually going on in the internal for us. So why is this important? Well, if we're not mindful of what's going on in our internal state, this will affect the actions we take, the things we're saying to people, the energy in which we're doing something. And those things have a ripple effect, not just on other people, but on the course, the trajectory of our lives, of the things that we will receive, on what we get in return. So, number one is creating that sense of mindfulness of, what is going on internally? What is happening? What are the emotions that are coming up for me today? What are the thought patterns? And so that's kind of like the real initial step, right? This is like awareness, bringing in that sense of awareness. Now, there's so many ways we can do this, right? Meditation is, one of my favorite ways to do this, as many of you know. So for me, that might be just a simple taking, if I'm honest, my meditation practice is usually around the half an hour mark, but it never used to be in the beginning. right? It started off small, it started off little. But the beginning part of my meditation is about cultivating that mindfulness. So just being aware without judgment, without labeling things as good or bad, but just getting curious. Okay, what's going on in the system today? What's happening? What's coming up? So meditation for me is what sparks that, or I find is the easiest way to get into a sense of mindfulness without getting pulled in to the ego. So why don't we want to get pulled into the ego? Well, what I mean by this is I find that if I journal as my form of mindfulness, before long, my little ego self starts coming in and starts to justify, right? So if I ask myself the question, okay, how am I feeling today? What I will find is it starts going into problem solving mode, my internal self. So it'll be like, oh, I'm feeling this way because such and such did this. And then because they did this, I'm now feeling like this. And do you see what I mean? It's like that little angsty teenage blame, like no responsibility for my state, right? This is my vessel. I get to feel how I want to feel. No one else is responsible for making me feel anything. And no one else can make you feel anything. Now, I appreciate that might be a big concept for some people, but the fact you're here, I'm not sure it will be, right? So what do I mean by that? Is no one can make you feel anything, right? What makes you feel something is the story you connect with that person's actions. So say, for example, and this is often one of our biggest sources of conflict in relationships and so many things. So we'll go into this in a bit more detail in another episode, but for now, no one can make you feel anything. What I mean by that is if someone does something nice for you, right? What happens is your brain goes, oh, they've done something nice for me. It's because they care and they love me, right? That story is the part that makes you feel good. Now, the opposite of that might be, and I'm laughing here because my husband and I have these conversations all the time because I'm like, you have made up a story that is not what was going on. And he does it to me too. So, this is where it's useful to have people in your life that you can be open and honest with and can, you can see through the stories. You can see through what your brain is doing. But so, for example, I'm like someone like the kids, this is just an example, right? But, perhaps the kids have left a load of washing up and they've all been in and out 20 times and no one's done it. It's not that's upset you. What's upset you is the story that's going on in your head, which is, no one appreciates me. They know I have to do it. They don't care about me. Do you see what I mean? So it's not the act, someone else's act or lack thereof, that it will actually make you feel anything. It's the story you're attaching to it. And those stories are often not true. They're often not true because the truth is your kids, I'm using that example again, your kids do care about you. Of course they do. They just probably really don't like doing the washing up and would rather avoid it if they can. And just hope that someone else will do it because they don't want to take responsibility for the washing up, right? So this is what I mean. And this often happens, like I mentioned, in relationship. And it can be a real source of conflict. So yeah, so we need to become aware. I've gone off on a tangent. Can you tell? We need to become aware of not only what's going on for us, but what are the stories that often we're making up around that thing. And the more we can have that awareness in our day-to-day life, the less likely we are to be pulled around by our mind, pulled around by our emotions, because the truth is our mind is this amazing machine, right? It has the capacity to offer us so much, and it helps us organize, and it helps us deduct things, and it helps us to make sense of the world. But it is also not often accurate, right? Our thoughts are generally nonsense, absolute nonsense. So we need to be careful that we're not being pulled around by our brain. It makes an awesome servant, a terrible master, terrible master. So making sure that we're entering our day with an awareness of what's going on inside, an awareness of, our thoughts aren't truth. Our thoughts are not truth. They are most of the time just absolutely calculated from something that will often put us in the best possible light, right? Our ego likes to feel like it's a good person. It likes to feel like everyone else is wrong and we are right, right? Or it will feed into another story. If we've got a belief going on that, we're not a very good person, then we will find every reason to find evidence that will support that. So we need to make sure that we are controlling that process, and that only happens from having a sense of mindfulness. And mindfulness is cultivated. It is something we learn. It is a skill we build, and the more that we can practice it, the better. But starting our days with it should be a non-negotiable. And that also goes for the emotional body, right? We want to make sure that we have an awareness of what's going on in our emotional body so that we are not just reacting to stuff. Because our emotions come with energy surges or energy slumps. And if we're not careful, those energy surges or slumps will actively sabotage what we want to do. So, for example, we might find there's this thing that we want to do, and we know we want to do it, and it's going to be really important for our growth. If we can just do this thing, then it's going to take us to a whole new world of possibility. But every time we go to do it, we feel restricted by fear. And again, it's about cultivating that relationship of mindfulness of emotions. So they're not the ones in charge. Your emotions do not have to control you. You can be the controller, right? You can have an awareness. So for example, if I've got a lot of fear going on, that doesn't dictate what I do and what I don't do. That doesn't make any difference to the action I take, because I'm the master, not my emotions, right? But again, this comes from a sense of, the word I want to use is mastery, really. It's that you building that mindfulness and that mastery of self so that you're the one in charge. You're not the one that's being led around by these internal chemical processes that come from the brain and come from our experiences, and instead are stepping in to each day from a sense of, no, this is what I want to do. This feels important to me. This is who I want to be. This is how I want to experience the world. So that's number one, mindfulness. Actually, I'm going to call it mindfulness and mastery of that internal system that's going on. So cultivating that sense of, I'm the master, not the thoughts, not the emotions. So number two is making sure that we're starting the day from the right perspective. So what do I mean by this? Well, it kind of feeds on from what we've just been talking about. But one of the things we actually know is pessimism is actually bad for you. It is bad for your relationships. It is bad for your health. They have done studies on this that show that optimists tend to live longer. They tend to have fewer health issues. They tend to have longer relationships and more fulfilling relationships. They tend to have more success in life in terms of their career. So there is scientific evidence that shows that going into any situation with a positive frame of mind is better for you. Despite this, many of us will wake up on a Monday morning and go, oh, it's Monday, don't want to do this. It's cold, it's miserable. Instead of, oh my God, like the first thing we should be grateful for is, oh my gosh, I've woken up. Many people don't. And, I know that's a deep thing, but it's true. Many people who wanted to wake up the next day did not. And you were lucky enough too. And you are also lucky enough, I imagine, to have, a certain amount of luxury as you wake up. And what I mean by that is like a bed to sleep on, a cover, access to a cuppa in the morning, a device to listen to this on. You have an enormous amount of luxury, whether you actually acknowledge it or not. And this is one of the reasons, like, when we're looking at, say, the billionaires in the world, right? It is so easy to judge, right? It's so easy to go, well, it's easy for them because they've got this and they've got that, and they've, that kind of little inner Karen steps forward. However, to many people in the world, you are the equivalent of a billionaire. You have got so much available to you. You've got fresh running water. You've probably got food in the fridge. Like I say, you've probably got a cover to sleep with at night. You might, and often these things, we take them for granted. We've got a roof over your head. That makes you extremely lucky. So starting the day from the perspective of, oh my gosh, how lucky am I? Just for those things alone. Not to mention the fact that you're lucky enough to be in this body that is, in this life, that's in this lifetime where you don't have to suffer as much in terms of physically, if you go, what I mean by this, if you go back 1,000 years, life would have been a lot tougher, physically a lot tougher. And we can forget this, right? We forget how lucky we are. We can also forget how lucky we are just to have, like, to me, the things that make me feel the luckiest is when I'm doing my morning meditation, I will often sit downstairs and I've got this window on the left-hand side and it faces east. And so I get to watch the sunrise on a morning, and it makes me feel like the luckiest thing in the world, like I'm the luckiest person in the world. And I can't particularly tell you why, but it just fills me with that sense of awe of what an amazing planet we live on, and this beautiful light that comes after the dark night. And when I say the dark night, I'm not talking about the dark night of the soul, but that this light comes back every morning. We have a fresh start, a brand new page, a new day that we get to dive into. And it's also the other things, right? The people in my life, because I just feel so lucky to have certain people in my life. I feel so lucky to have my dog in my life. But like I say, the other things that I'm so grateful for are often the little things. It's often like that morning cuppa. How good does that taste? Or, a full, like a gorgeous meal that I get to cook and experience with people that I love. I feel enormously lucky for where I live on the Isle of Wight. I feel lucky for silly things like, well, it's not silly, like the magic of a flame in a candle. Like, have you ever sat and just watched how crazy that is. Like there's this little dancing ball of heat that is sitting, and it's like this little magic that is available to us just by lighting a candle. So whatever that looks like for you, a moment to kind of shift your perspective into that sense of how lucky am I, right? And I won't say gratitude practice. And the reason I won't say gratitude practice is because I think so many of us, or so many people, feel like a gratitude practice is just writing a list. It misses the point. Gratitude, we need to feel it. It's feeling that sense of appreciation. And you know, many of you that have been in my workshops or my practices or meditations will often hear me say certain phrases, and often those phrases or one of those phrases is, you know, cultivating that feeling of how lucky am I? That's how it should feel, right? How lucky am I? And I'm also really aware that there are times where it feels like that is really hard to get to, right? Perhaps we're going through a lot of challenge, perhaps we're experiencing a lot of stress. But the truth is, no matter what you're experiencing, there will be a way to access that sense of how lucky am I? It's a perspective shift. There are things that you can always find to feel grateful for, and allow that feeling to really sink into your being, to really be a part of you, right? Because this isn't just about, you know, being appreciative, being a good person or any of that. Like I say, this literally impacts every element of your life. As I said, if we're optimistic, it will impact your success on every level, the success of your relationships, the success of your finances, the success of, you know, what you choose to do with this life and who you choose to be. Optimism is something that, again, is worth cultivating. And it is a cultivation again. Some people are more likely to be that way inclined, don't get me wrong. But optimism can be cultivated. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you have depression. It doesn't matter if you have, you know, PTSD, if you have any other of those kind of mental health challenges that we might find can get in the way. But like anything, it's a skill that can be cultivated, like mindfulness, because there is always an appreciation that can be found. And don't get me wrong, some situations it can be harder to find, but there's always an appreciation. And like I say, sometimes it's about shifting that perspective to, you know, perhaps where you were 20 years ago. God, I would have killed to be where I am now. You know, I would have, or it could be, you know, comparing yourself to someone else in the world that hasn't got nearly as much as you. You know, just taking the moment to appreciate everything you have and what's available to you. So that's kind of number 2. Number 3. I'm debating on which one to go to next, but I think what I will go to, and I'm wondering how to word this, because this really does depend on your spiritual beliefs and your spiritual outlook. But how I would say this is tapping in to your potential. Now, like I say, this depends on your belief systems and how you view this. But what I will do is I'll share with you my belief system and, you know, take from it what feels good and leave what doesn't. But I believe personally there's a reason you're here. I believe there's a reason you are the way you are, in terms of there is something that you're here to do. And when I say something, some people hear that as like a career, some people hear that as like a job. I feel it's much bigger than that personally. This is what I would call our Dharma. It is our reason for being. And the reason I believe this is because when we look at nature, right? Nature to me is one of the ways that I see God, whether you use that word or not, whether you use it as source or universe, energy, divine, whatever word you connect with, I don't think it matters. But if you look in nature, everything has a purpose, everything has a reason for being. And for those of us that work with nature in any capacity, say for example gardening, we know this, right? We know that certain plants not only give medicinal properties, there's some that are really good for cooking, there's some that are absolutely stunningly beautiful, and they just bring so much joy just by being, and you get to look at them. Some of them are so beautifully perfumed, and they can be used for things like perfume and bringing that sensory element into our life. But also every single animal in the animal kingdom, right? They all have like this particular role that they play that is so important to the whole. And I believe we're all here to play our role to collectively evolve to where we're supposed to get to. And, I believe personally that is a state of being more conscious, more awake, so that we can evolve past some of our tendencies that are not helpful, that are not useful, that are destructive, that are dangerous to all of us collectively, as well as us individually. And so when I feel that, when I know that, I have a responsibility to play my role, to be my potential, not just to me. I have that responsibility for everyone else. And that will be the same for you, in my opinion. I believe you have a potential that you are here to live. And if you are not living it, that is at the detriment not only to yourself, but to the collective. So the more that we choose to play small, the more that we choose to hide our gifts, the more that we choose to not lean into our strengths and the things that we're brilliant at, and the things that, actually, if we shared, would actually give something back. And when I say give something back, I don't necessarily mean in the way that perhaps it can be perceived of giving something back as in, volunteering or doing something that is charity work, or giving something back that's a vocation. But by living your potential, say for example, you're an artist, and you're an artist because you feel this desire in you to create. And through that creation, you've never given yourself permission to really do it. And because of that, you've held the beauty of your artwork back from the rest of the collective. And that artwork might have inspired the next person. That artwork might have actually made someone feel something that they were supposed to feel. It may have, just given, oh my gosh, it could have just given someone. This made me feel really emotional as I say this, and I'm not quite sure why, but I think it's because we so underestimate the power that we hold to have impact on others. But perhaps you were supposed to paint something that absolutely lifted someone up, right? And so, for example, when I'm going into these podcasts, when I'm going into these reels, when I'm sharing with you guys, the reason I do it is not because I'm like, oh, look at me, I've got so much, like, yay me. It's because I go into it with, if this helps one person, right? If this helps change the thought pattern of one person, it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. Perhaps there's just one person that I'm meant to share this with, and that one person, it will absolutely have a chain reaction in their life, and then that will have a chain reaction in those people's lives. So even if I'm only impacting one person, theoretically the ripple effect will mean that it's impacting thousands upon thousands, and collectively that might have the impact that it's supposed to make. So this step number 3 is about tapping into your potential. It's about acknowledging the power you hold. And many of us don't like the idea of this idea of power, see it as a very ego thing. But actually, I would argue that when we're denying our gifts, when we're denying our talents, when we're denying that part of us that says, go write that book, you really should go write that book. Or denying that part of us that's like, go paint that picture, like, just go paint that thing. When we're denying that, we're not just denying ourselves, we're denying the collective. And I would say the part of you that's holding you back is exactly the ego part that you're worried about. That ego that's like, oh, no, play small. Who are you to do that? Oh, yeah, well, you're not very good anyway. That's the ego. Not the part of you that's like, this might help someone. This might be a part of something bigger. This might be a source of light in this world, even if you don't know how, even if you're not sure why. It might just be. So that's number 3. Are you tapping into your potential, your sense of power, how important actually it is that you actually live your Dharma? And number 4, final one, is set that intention, right? Our intention is everything. Our intention is the direction we're taking. It is that part of us that's like, we need to head this way. We're not going to look at those things, right? Setting that intention. So once we've tapped into that sense of power, what does that look like in day-to-day life? What does that mean? What are the tasks you're going to do? How are you going to do the task? What's the energy that you're going to take into those tasks? And so for me, I like to do this very much from a place of visualization. I like to, visualization. We know visualization, again, scientifically, is one of the most useful things in determining the success of something. So this is why athletes do it. They will, play something through in their head before doing it, so that when they come to do it, they've already done it. They already know what's going to happen. They've already seen it playing out. And so the more that we can allow ourselves to set that intention of what we're going to do, how it's going to look, the energy we're going to take into that, how we're going to deal with any challenges that come up. Because this is the other thing, right? Okay, I won't go into this too much, but challenges do arise. Challenges will arise. Challenges are meant to arise, right? If it was down to us, we wouldn't have challenge and we wouldn't grow. So we're supposed to have challenge to allow us to grow and live our potential, providing we receive them as the gifts that they are. That will be another podcast. But for now, know that number 4 is setting that intention, getting clear, not just on what we're doing, but how we're doing it. So like I say, that energy we take into something is actually more likely to affect that which we do than the action we take, right? So what I mean by that is, and this is where the idea of realms of consciousness, it's so true. We can, you can have two different people that are taking two different actions, but they're living in two different realities. So you can have one person that goes out for their morning run and they're like, oh my God, how amazing is this? That I get to move my body in this fresh air and I can feel those endorphins and that sun on my skin, and how lucky am I? And you can have the other person that's like, oh, bloody exercise, hate this, blah, 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 and they will not get as much from that experience. And they've actually shown that things like calorie burning capacity is affected by what is going on internally. So the energy we take into something matters. So as we're setting that intention for the day, that's as much about the much is about the how as the what, right? How am I doing this thing? What energy am I taking to this thing? What am I bringing into this thing? So lovelies, I hope that has been a useful episode for you to take a moment to consider how you're starting the day and to perhaps map out a new and improved, or just a brand new morning ritual that will set you up for the best possible day to make sure that you get the absolute most from your time here on earth. All right, lovelies, I am sending you so much love and I will see you soon. Take care.